Hello, everyone. We are live. Thanks for joining today. In 1 second, I'll have all of the links posted to... So, okay, there you go. You can join on YouTube. If you go to the chat box, you'll find a link. It'll take you to Zoom, where you can join. We love live participation. We're going to get started in one moment. So the ground rules are to be muted when you are not speaking. After the opening transmission, we may have a moment of meditation. And then following that, we will do questions and answers. And just make sure that before you begin your question, that you give the person before you the completion. It'll be clear when the process is over. And then you can, if you'd like to frame your question, all types of questions are welcome. If you assume that they are intuitive and you don't need a long sharing to explain the question itself, is good to begin with. And then if they come with a question of deeper self-inquiry or discovery for you, it can expand in that way. So meaning to start with a short question without too much sharing, and there can be more sharing with time depending on the context of your question. And I think that's everything. If you'd like to support these sessions, or if this really resonates with you, check out the work that I offer. I do one-to-one channeling work, helping people to integrate these insights into their lives as well. I also do astrology reading and a sort of integrative practice with people. So check out heartflowtransmissions.com, and also in the YouTube box, there's a link to both the latest book that is the transcript of the Pleiadian Council's channelings over the past 7 years, and some early writing that I did at the beginning of my spiritual awakening. So thanks for being here, and let's dive in, shall we? Oh, the last thing I want to say before they come through is if there's ever an interruption with my internet or my audio, speak up, because my eyes are closed while I'm channeling, so I won't see audio messages. Feel free to interrupt just to let me know that there might be something I need to attend within the Zoom box. Thank you. Hello, we say a fantastic day to you at this moment of your time. We are the Pleiadian Council. We speak on behalf of many beings supporting your planet in the process of your spiritual evolution. And we say it is a gift for us to be able to co-create with you and interact in this way. Now, today, the message is silence, as silence is a sacred space where you may enter to find integration, and where insight is discovered, where energies that are within your body come to rest. It is in silence that you often allow for the thoughts to settle so that you can come to see them from above. And this is why in the imagery for this week's transmission, we instructed the channel to use the image from looking out of the window of an airplane. Because when you return to silence, it's in a way that inner journey that allows you to see things from a higher perspective. And when you put things into perspective, it makes sense. You gain insight. You are able to detach from areas where you might be insisting on an outcome and attempting to force reality to match your preferences rather than co-creating with others and collaborating with others with true open hearts and clear minds. So return to silence when you find there is a tense energy, when there is vast confusion, when you are holding tension. And it isn't just to sit in silence. You can move in silence too. Hence, many traditional paths that focus meditative silence include both sitting in silence and a movement meditation of walking. Walking meditatively allows you to feel the presence of energy that is within you through movement. As often, once you begin to physically move your body, you disconnect from those subtle sensations and that felt presence of living in your body. And really, this is the area where that interoception or connection to what is alive within you is even more important. For movement is what you do most of the time, and not necessarily all of the time is it physical movement. It is also the movement of the mind. And so in bringing presence and silence into movement, you are able to ensure that you don't suddenly get lost in what they call the monkey mind, the moment that you begin to move again. So silence can also refer to that inner background. Sometimes you cannot create the space of physical silence around you and an isolation from sound, but you can always listen to that inner silence. And this is the space in between your thoughts. By bringing your awareness here, you create an expansion of that space, and you start to break apart your own identification with the thoughts. That doesn't mean you completely disown them. You recognize that your thoughts come for very important reasons, and your thoughts are helping you to expose your own patterns of belief and behavior. So that's why we emphasize far more the path of embodied action, acting on your excitement as the primary way that you navigate. And these meditative experiences, the return to silence, the return to integration and rest and body awareness as ways to make sure that you follow that excitement to the best of your own ability. These are the things that, regardless of what you're personally passionate about, ought to be a part of your toolkit because they allow you to return to integration. Now, we also want to speak about the difference between silence as a medicine versus silence as an escape, because silence can be a form of disassociation or premature transcendence in some moments. To really assess this, you might have to ask yourself, where am I silencing myself? There might be certain relationships, conversations, topics, or philosophies that show up in your life that bring a certain degree of self-censorship, of uncertainty, of a feeling of needing to protect yourself, where silence becomes not a liberatory experience, but a sort of shield. And we're not asking you to put the shield down. We're asking you to acknowledge that you're using it. Because, of course, using this shield selectively is important. There might be moments in which silence is the best response, yet there are moments in which what you're silencing within yourself is far more important to express and to share with those around you, because as you say it, you free yourself from the chains of shame, uncertainty, and self-doubt. That doesn't mean that what you express has to be right. It simply means that you recognize these feelings need expression. And so if you find yourself spending so much time in silence or solitude, yet still being irritated the moment that you come out of silence, that could be an indication that you may be using silence completely as a shield and not necessarily as a medicine in certain circumstances. The other thing we might have to point out about silence is that it can just as much be used as a weapon. And sometimes you will have interactions with certain people when you do break your own silence. You speak to what's true for you. And they instead use silence as a way to manipulate you out of your own truth. The silence echoes in moral superiority, in a sort of tone that makes you completely question yourself. And so it is important to note that there may be times that you face the silence from others that isn't this sort of meditative and compassionate silence, but is a way to get you to stay quiet. And the response isn't necessarily to get louder, but it's to reclaim your own power and recognize that that isn't necessarily a place where your voice is best served. So sometimes you will have to break this silence and seek a path of accountability. Though more often, those who attempt to silence you are not necessarily those you are meant to journey with. And the easier path is to go on your own way, not necessarily because it's better, because it's morally superior, and because it's the high road, but because it actually reflects what is aligned in your own best interest and heart more than fighting a battle that isn't necessarily easy to win or come through more empowered. This is because those who don't want to hear a truth that counters what they have already accepted as completely their truth, how things work, will not allow you to leave that conversation without a battle wound or some slip of poison. So it's important to instead note, who is it that can hold the ambiguity of truth and meet that with genuine grounded compassion? These are the people that it's important to have healthy communication and healthy silence with. Those who attempt to strip you of your own voice and agency are better left alone. They can stay under the shield of their silence or the sword of their silence, but you don't have to suffer under the weight of it. Now, returning back to the medicinal quality of silence, as this is the most powerful thing, and by mentioning the ways that silence can be used to not necessarily have the same healing power, instead to serve distorted purposes, is simply to remind you that not every silence is perfect and pure. And you must tune in and note, is this movement towards the higher perspective of silence a genuine and stabilizing force, or is it protective? And you know that it's genuine and stabilizing because the return to silence brings an instant lightness, relief, and joy. You feel less resistance to the movement and activity of the mind, and more of a need to simply stabilize it so that the journey of life flows with greater ease. You are not clinging to silence as salvation, yet returning to it so that you can live life with greater presence. This is the biggest difference. And so the only meditation we will offer today are some moments of silence so that you can take in the power of it experientially. You've already known silence and experienced meditative silence at many times in your journey. And use the practices that align most with what feels alive for you in the moment if you wish to explore that silence. And allow the information that we have shared to settle in, for it to be seen from that higher perspective, you could say, as you feel that elevating quality of silence for a moment. We thank you for sharing that moment of silence and presence with us. And we ask, how can we be of assistance with your questions, comments, or musings at this time?
Hello, Pleiadians.
Hello, yes.
How are you?
We are fantastic, and you?
Pretty good, thank you. I have a question about a dream I had a few months ago.
All right.
Um, in this dream, I was in some sort of a compound of sorts. And there were other women there, and it was dark, and I felt like we were being watched by something or somebody, I don't know. And then someone gave me, or I found myself holding a bundle, and there was a little head poking out from it, a little bigger than a normal child's head, with big eyes. And I thought, oh, it must be my hybrid child. And right before I woke up, I heard this word in my head,
There was a bundle with a
Anuhan,
little, what did you say?
a little child in it. Can you hear me? I don't know if you're frozen or.
Dante, your feed has frozen.
Yeah.
We didn't
You're
hear the
back.
complete question.
Um,
You said you received a doll or a little bundle?
I was holding a little child in my arms.
Yes.
By bundle, I mean that it was wrapped up in some sort of fabric.
Yes.
So I only saw its head and eyes, and I thought that it was my hybrid child. And right before I woke up, I had this word in my head, Anuhan. Do you think that was the name of my hybrid child? That's my question.
Yes. This could be a name for your hybrid child. They are presenting it as your connection to this child, certainly. Though there's also more to unpack in this dream. When you said you feel as if you were being watched, what emotions came along with that experience?
I wasn't scared. I just felt like I should be quiet. And I know there were other women there, but we didn't talk. We were maybe a little suspicious of one another, but it wasn't scary.
And you felt
And
as if you had to protect the child?
can you say that again?
Did you feel as if you had to protect the child?
Um, not really, but I felt a lot of love towards that child.
Yes. Yes, this reflects both the presence of hybrid children you are connected with and the motherly energy alive within you. Though there's something to question about the feeling of perhaps not complete trust between yourself and the others there. Being watched is a real phenomena of noting that the universe is always watching you. You are, in a sense, being observed by your own higher self. And when you return to that attitude of the observer, the higher self energy begins to reconnect with you. It's not so much that the higher self is the observer, but the attitude of observation allows you to reestablish orientation with the higher self. And so that watching presence is being reflected here in the sense that you are being watched, but you know that it is not necessarily a bad thing. Yet the suspicion, can you note where this suspicion might show up in other areas of your life?
No, not really, no.
All right, then that's the area to continue to question, to allow this dream to continue to reveal itself. As you reflect in your meditation, you might find yourself regressing momentarily to this dream and allowing your own subconscious mind to give back more information to you.
Okay. And so Anuhan was the name of that child.
Yes.
Okay.
If
That's
that's the
great.
name you heard, then that's the child's name.
If that's what, sorry?
If that is the name you heard, then that is the child's name.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yes, our thanks to you as well.
Hello.
Hello, yes.
Hello. I was doing some research recently, because it kept coming to me about like occult practices and basically how they used to use blood sacrifices. And I had a sort of, I suppose, download come to me to say that part of when Jesus came to earth, part of his sort of teaching was that he was trying to put an end to that part of I don't know, part of rituals or whatever. And it was just supposed to be a path, I guess, of like inner alchemy, so there was no need to do that anymore. But I just wanted to get your perspective on that.
Yes, that is a common idea that we would agree with, that the his incarnation served the purpose of ending the cult of blood sacrifice. He, in that sense, was the ultimate sacrifice.
Okay, great. Thank you for confirming that.
Yes, though we want to also speak a bit more about where this blood sacrifice, in a sense, came from. And in a way, it actually points back to the cycle of fertility. Women must bleed, they offer their blood back to the earth. And early people recognize this bleeding as somehow a necessary part of the cycle, because after all, fertility would not be possible without it. And so the attempt to return what was necessary to give back to the earth extended into the idea of animals. And they came to feed the spirits with the animals. And certainly there are many different sorts of entities out there that are willing to have a sort of transactional exchange of life force for life force in various forms. The issue with this is, of course, that it causes harm and therefore incurs karma, but also that it keeps you into a deaded relationship with the entities who provide the exchange. And so the idea of the enlightened consciousness that presents itself through the different masters who brought spiritual teachings to your world is to go beyond the transactional relationships with both entities in this astral plane, but in general, to move into that attitude of unconditional giving and reciprocity that is birthed through it, and to have, instead of an intermediary connection, a direct connection to the source itself. And so you don't necessarily go beyond the idea of the sacrifice itself, but you go beyond the idea of bloodshed and instead recognize that the sacrifice happens in all that you do, in all of the ways that you expand and expend your own life force.
Okay, thank you. So actually, can I just add on to that? If, for example, then when you, in some sort of rituals or healing and stuff like that, they say to offer like gifts to spirits. Would you say it goes as far as that, or is that something separate?
You can and ought to give gifts to the spirit world, but there's only a low vibration of entities that ask for a blood sacrifice.
Yeah.
The entities of the nature spirit realm are generally attracted to things like metals, especially those who are not yet shaped by man, and crystals, and natural things like dried flowers and herbs. So these are the sorts of gifts that you can bestow to the nature spirit realm, perhaps by offering them at the foot of a tree into a sacred fire. As long as you know that these ingredients are not pollutant, you can, for example, put crystals in a riverbed that is a special power place for you. When you feel that that place gives you energy, you give some of your energy back to that place. This relationship is known among indigenous peoples of the world and exists continuously beyond the hard bargain and the karma of a blood sacrifice.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
Yes. Now, we'll mention one other sort of sacrifice that existed before Christ in the mythology of the Germanic and Celtic and other people, through the idea of Odin, who gives his one eye to receive the knowledge and hangs himself, surrendering his own ego on the world tree until he has bestowed this great knowledge. And this sacrifice ultimately represents the need to simplify and focus in order to gain knowledge in your life. You cannot gain knowledge of everything, and you cannot expand the power of your own capacity when your eyes are dual. When you focus on the goal before you, you may endure great suffering to experience great mastery. And the issue with the new emergence of the symbolic perpetuation of the blood sacrifice through the communion and Eucharist is that the old sacrifice, the true development of knowledge and spiritual capacity, has been stripped away from your world, and few go on that quest.
Okay, that makes sense. What was the name again? Could you repeat the name of the
Odin.
man? Odin. Okay, thank you.
And so,
Oh,
no,
sorry.
if the blood of Christ is the symbolic sacrifice constantly offered, there are many representations of this where you are sold or given a commodified salvation, and all that you must submit is your faith and belief. This sacrifice ritual emerges through some sort of automatic ascension gifts. You are hereby granted salvation because you have communed and consumed our own sacrificial martyr.
Is that in a religious context, would you say, sorry?
Well,
or...
the idea that we are presenting is that this ritual has been packaged and rebranded again and again through all sorts of different means. You can call it, you can even see some practices of a forced catharsis, elaborate transformation process of shadow work as a sort of confession and rebirth. So many different modalities and tools and cultural prescriptions follow that same sort of mimicry of this blessing ritual where you commune with the eternal through the mediation of the priests and through the sacrificial blood.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
But
Thank
perhaps
you.
a little bit too deep for everyone today. So we will ask, are there any other questions at this time?
There was one in the chat actually that someone asked me to ask.
Question, please.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. So yeah, sorry. It was just someone in the chat's asked the question, asked someone to ask it. So if you could just ask it after, that would be good.
Yes,
Please.
we'll chat questions later. Yes, well,
Thank you, Pleiadians, for this transmission. My gratitude to you. Actually, I have two questions. I'll just ask the first one now because I know there's other people in the room. But I also have a question about two dreams that I had very recently. And the first one was about thinking back on where I used to live and traveling, and I felt quite melancholy. And then in the middle of the dream, there were two crystals that I often work with in meditation, and they broke. And then I saw another crystal and a piece of ceramic that wasn't familiar to me, but was also near the broken crystals. And then 2 days later, I had another dream whereby there was almost a game ensuing. I could non-specific, and I saw a baby white horse that was circling around, running around, and then it stopped very suddenly and came up to me and was very real and visceral in my face. And then its keepers came by and took it away. And I'm just curious if there might be any connection to those two dreams or what any messages for me.
Yes, let's start with that first dream and the sense of nostalgia. Are you longing to return to something?
I think I'm struggling with that. If that is, in fact, if I recently moved, well, not recently, about 3 years ago, moved from a place and I'm in where I live now, I'm not sure if I want to stay here and I'm feeling nostalgic for the previous place.
Is it a connection to certain people or a connection to a certain place or space?
That's a great question. I think it has people are enmeshed in that, but I think it's more of a lifestyle and opportunities and what's available from a day-to-day basis as far as living style.
Yes. So this might be something to continue to examine. And were these crystals some symbol of that time of your life? Were they something that you brought with you to your new life?
That's a great question because these two particular crystals I had acquired when I moved here to this new place. So I'm now in Hawaii. I was on the big island of Hawaii and acquired these two very specific crystals. So they are very much related to the big island. And interestingly, a week prior to that, I had gone to Big Island to make an offering to Pele. And I hadn't done that since I landed in Hawaii 3 years ago.
And as you made that offering, how did you feel in your connection to the land? Did it feel as if you were welcomed more home, or did it feel as if a gratitude in moving on?
It was more of a gratitude and moving on. That was my intention and just gratitude that I've been able to stay here.
The crystals breaking could then represent the idea of a completion of the gifts that you've received here.
Yeah.
The gifts have been good and they've served you, but it might be time to return to something that is now more in resonance with where you're going.
Mm, mm.
Then you might be getting new gifts. Though also the idea of being near water means that this is just the flow of emotions and feelings for now. And it's always important to go with the flow and simply continues to stay connected with these feelings and let them give more meaning to you.
Okay. Thank you. That makes a lot of sense. That does resonate and was kind of what I was beginning to be curious about. I wonder, I think along with that, I feel like I'm struggling with letting go to not have any regret. And I'm wondering if you could speak to how to manage that a little bit more lighty, with more light.
Is it that you don't want to regret leaving prematurely or leaving something unresolved?
Yes. Yes. And I'm trying to remember, give myself the latitude to understand that that was the best decision I could make at that time.
Yes. Though what do you suppose might be still unresolved?
That's a great question. I don't know if it's necessarily anything unresolved, but maybe wasn't recognizing that that environment is feeds my being.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because there's more culture, more diversity, more options.
Exactly.
Yes. So might be that this was a momentary return to silence, to nature, to stillness, to roots, so that your system could unwind a bit. And now you're reorienting towards something different. And it doesn't mean that you will not have a connection to these islands, but it might mean that it's one that shifts and evolves. So think of it as that you're not closing doors, but you're opening new ones, and you're returning transformed, or even moving on to a similar setup in a different place. Simply knowing that what you need is the potential for more communication and more exploration.
Yes, because I don't want to go through any regressive, comforting, regressive ties back. I do want to have the courage to take what I've learned to a different context. So thank you. That makes sense. That makes sense.
And what is your own reading on the horse? What does that feel like for you?
That's great question, because I was born in the year of the horse, and I feel an as inexplicable energy that's arising or unfolding or percolating up for me. It was a baby horse, so that to me was significant of something new or exciting. It was also a baby white horse, so it just felt fresh and new and exciting and potential. There was a lot of potential in this being.
Yes. So it can be then the symbol of new beginnings, of a return to innocence, as it is young and it is also white. It can be also representative of some sense that innocence. The horse itself carries much other symbolism. For one, horse itself represents the instinctive nature, as a horse is generally a stable animal, but is easy to scare. So horse reminds you of your flight response and your fight response. It symbolizes the instinctive urges that exist within you and must become to terms with. A horse also symbolizes virility and power and the ability to navigate and move quickly through situations. So often horse shows up as a messenger to bring you to return to your body, to notice the wisdom in the somatic messages that you get in the form of sensations and pay closer attention to them, not necessarily to track them and control them, but to learn from them what they are asking you to do, what direction you want to go, what kind of movement feels right for you, what kind of response to the conversation in the moment lands best in your body. Horse wisdom wants you to learn how to honor these different responses that your nervous system has without collapsing into freeze. And this is one power that horse awakens within you. It also gives a sense of stability, the ability to move from one terrain to the next. So often horse also precedes travel, as planning for a journey from one destination to another requires that you return more to that instinctive nature to get grounded and prepared to embark.
Wow, thank you. Thank you. Those are incredible insights that will be much resonates, and I think will be extremely helpful in navigating this. Thank you.
Oh, yes, we thank you as well. Though note also the horse came for a moment and moved away. So consider in what area did this, or in what moment did this energy enter your life, where you felt this renewed life force and a surge of energy? And how did it take a step away? It might be time to invite that surge of presence back into center stage.
Right now as I'm transitioning or going through. Okay. Yeah, because it was taken away or moved by its keepers, which was interesting. And there was it was temporary. It did go away. The horse did go away.
Yes.
So,
So ask about, where did this surge of life force show up and disappear? Sometimes you are confronted with the horse energy or the power of the nervous system, and then you suppress it. It might be a moment in which you felt an aggressive impulse, or that you simply wanted to leave a social setting, but talk yourself out of it. It's important to revisit that and reconnect with that energy, as the awakening of life force has wisdom within you.
Okay. So on a day-to-day basis, it's kind of a phenomena that is kind of representative in small forms, and as well as the bigger picture for me.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Again, we would say horse is an instinctive energy. It can show up in that immediate response. You hear something and you run towards it or away from it. Think of that as the horse. It's the highly attuned sensitivity that is alive within your body. And horse comes to life when you feel a sudden charge. Do you listen to that charge, or do you resist it? The horse must learn how to run with the charge so that it can carry that momentum into life.
Yes, because I did see it running in front of me before it came up to me. It stopped and came up to me. So I did see it running in front of me. Okay. Thank you, Palladians. My deepest gratitude and
More gratitude to you. Now it's time to run and set yourself free if you wish.
thank you, Palladians.
Do you have time for another question?
I have a question if nobody else does, but I can also.
We have time for all the questions, and again, we always prioritize the questions that are spoken live in Zoom, as they allow for a deeper space of insight to land.
Go ahead, Molly.
Thank you so much. Well, I missed the opening transmission, unfortunately, so I'm not sure if this is on topic or not. But firstly, thank you, Pleiadians, and thank you, Dante, for the channeling today. I wanted to ask for some insights and/or guidance around, and I may have asked about this before, stepping into power specifically in regards to offering my own services, because as you and Dante both know, I'm also a channel and I'm very adept in these things, but that blockage is just so strong for me. And I'm getting to a point in life where I actually really do need to be more serious about making money and doing these different things. And I still have these hangups around charging for my services and gifts. And so if there's anything that can be spoken to about that today, that would be very helpful for me.
Are you sure your hangups are about charging, or do you have hangups about other aspects of the process?
I think that's important. I think I have hangups around multiple things. While being a channel myself, I still have my logical brain is still very active, and I stare down into the future and I think of all these different paths my life might take. I make music and art as well, and I get frustrated thinking that because I know from firsthand experience there's a lot of like charlatans in the world too, and because of having these gifts myself, I have like a bit of a chip on my shoulder towards the people who are predatory and charlatanish. And then also, I never want to be lumped into that category myself. And so I have these hangups around like what will people think, and as well as like charging for it.
So let's start with, first of all, the evidence of there being many charlatans and people misguiding others is even more of a call to action to demonstrate that not everyone doing this type of work is a charlatan. And so instead of seeing
Yes.
that as a fear trigger, look at it as a sort of way to be inspired to change the paradigm. Now we would say your own skepticism and the complexity you're facing is part of how you need to frame it. Instead of saying, I am the absolute authority, my channel determines the absolute truth, frame it as a different sort of relationship. In a similar way, we say, we guide you to discover your excitement, and you must know in your own self that this is true for you. If it doesn't resonate, it must not be what is your true excitement. And it is tested because we emphasize the idea of your own beliefs and how beliefs correlate with your actions. And in this way, it isn't woo-woo. It isn't, we say so, so it's real. It's, does this land for you? Does it bring change in your life? And is it questionable? Is there room for blind spots? And allowing this space to come into the scope of the frame shows that you are ethical and you do have a complete frame of what you're doing that makes it stand apart from someone who is, for example, a charlatan, without going out of the way to berate the false claims and practices that you see. Use them to inform how you define it, to show that you're standing out, to be different. Does that help for starters?
That definitely does help for starters. Yeah, absolutely.
And so knowing that you are allowed to stand out and you don't have to be like other channels, like other guides, or whatever you decide to call yourself, do you accept full permission to frame it the way that resonates most with you so that you can stand behind it in the clearest way yourself?
I'm sorry, you cut out a little bit. What was the question fully?
Do you give yourself complete permission to step outside of the box, frame it whatever way you want to frame it so that it resonates with you?
Yeah, yes,
So it isn't say
definitely. I
discard the
find that
idea of a
helpful.
box completely, but don't put yourself in a box that looks like the boxes that other people are in. And that will allow you to stand with it with integrity. Yes, no box is better, but sometimes a specific label and title and a definition allows people to understand it and allows you to have a consistent way to explain it so that people understand what it is you're doing.
That makes total sense.
And in terms of the idea of receiving money for it, where do you question this?
I don't know. I think I need to do journeying around it, and even that is something that I'm avoidant about. So I have a feeling that this is tied into something from other times as well, because even I've been saying to myself, I need to journey on this for a while, and it just is something that gets avoided. And so I have a feeling it might be karmic as well.
Well, yes, but even karmic experiences that have roots in multiple lifetimes can be resolved through the same level of inquiry. So, what is the specific belief about money? And is it about money or is it about your own relationship with money? And we sense there could be a bit of both. First of all, that the idea that money itself is evil because it is the tool of the empire.
Right.
We've started to deconstruct this in many regards, but the fact of the matter remains clear that most people who chase money for money's sake are not necessarily ethical or really aligned with a coherent spiritual paradigm. So you see this evidence and focus upon it, but you have to recognize that the money itself is a neutral sort of energy. We call it life force. It is a way that you've created a container to control life force. It's a permission slip that gives you access to a certain amount of life force. So it's not that money itself is necessarily the evil in the sense that your dollars are evil, but the system that captures life force and gives permission to all to use the system to dominate others and commit violence against them is the evil thing. And we say even evil in quotation marks because it is important to recognize that moral framing often leads to more righteousness and entrapment and judgment. So it is harmful, but in the end, you all have to participate within a world that requires money. And so the dollars in your bank account aren't the harmful thing. The system itself is. But your own ability to harness that life force is the only way that you can actively deconstruct the system. So in that way, you can see my own participation here is the only way for me to deconstruct it. You have to play the game to throw the game away, essentially. And you all have to play the game to eventually go to a system that doesn't work the same way. Play a game that's more fair and better. But you're not quite there yet.
That makes a lot of sense. And honestly, it does address a lot of the hangups that I have. So thank you for that.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And we would say it's just as important to own your own worth now. And this might be the deepest part. All of the other stuff might make sense, and it can sometimes be a way that you regress to old patterns to defend yourself from the work of claiming your value, of saying, I've done enough now, and now I deserve to be seen, recognized, and respected for what I can offer. And that shift will allow you to let go of all of the beliefs and stories from this and other lifetimes. So now it's about recognizing you're worthy and you're ready and you're capable and allowing that to be second nature. And yes, you might see the different beliefs come up, and the idea is to not mythologize them too much, but use action to break the cycle. When you hear the old story bringing you back to procrastination or a freeze response, say, this is the moment that I'm going to write about my website and force myself, even if just for 20 minutes, to come up with a plan just for today. And if it's the only thing I do today, that's okay. What matters is that I broke out of the habit and decided I'm going to take action because I know I'm worth it.
I think you've definitely struck to some of the deeper chords, because I think even though I have all these rational reasons, I definitely think there is that self-worth underneath as well. So I really appreciate you getting to the heart of it.
Yes, stick with that and know that when you return to that self-worth, all of the other issues become talking points. And they will be talking points that you get better and better at, but they're not the real challenge at this point.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
Oh, right, great. Thanks to you as well.
And thank you, Pleiadian Council and your channeler, Dante, for this opportunity and for bringing your energy to us once more. I have a question about Yayels. I channeled a Yayel teacher yesterday, and it seemed to me that there are certain, I won't say divisions, but preferences or categories amongst them, because the one I was channeled with had no intention or desire to ever interact with humans. They were totally focused on the hybrid children. And that got me wondering if there are different segments of them who have different roles in the upcoming open contact as well, like many of the other races do.
Yes, for the Yayel, there are fewer what you might call contact specialists than in other races. It's because they are in a phase of establishing order in their own world and society and learning how to be the best version of themselves and co-create with the other hybrid races. Whereas different beings like Pleiadians and Syrians are in a more transcendent function. We have already completed our own personal evolution, and you could say, created and deconstructed many identities and phases of our own civilizations. And now our mission is mostly of service. The Yayel are service to other oriented beings, but they are still in a refinement process. They are still expressing a greater degree of physicality. And so they have many typical roles that you might consider to be roles in your world. Like they might be artists, teachers, they might be those who care for children or care for animals. They might be those who plan cities or develop technologies. They might be scientists. They might be all sorts of things. So their world doesn't look that completely different from yours, but there are many specialized roles like that of the caretakers of the hybrid children and the architects of things like hybridization programs that don't yet exist in your world.
Thank you. I appreciate that detailed answer. And I do have a question. It was expressed to me that the major players in open contact are the Lyrans, the Yayels, the Andromedans, and Pleiadians. And then the Satsani were more of point coordinators for all of those energies and the program and protocols itself. Where do the Syrians and the Arcturians and some of the other beings fit in?
Well, we would say that you are experiencing contact through psychic transmission and channeling. This is a phase of contact that all beings participate in. So, in this way, consider that all of these beings are involved in contact. And those who will pronounce a more physicalized contact with you do include the Yayel and other hybrid races, the Pleiadians, and potentially, eventually, Syrians. Arcturians are of a less physicalized nature, and many of you will experience a psychic connection with them, though you might not physically meet them in the same way. Know that, again, all of this takes place in gradual phases, not all at once, and not all beings are aware of the phenomena taking place in all of the phases, meaning not all humans will be even aware of contact happening once it starts. It is a progressive process that is, again, subject to shifts in timeline, vibration, and choice.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That strengthens my knowledge, and I will use that. Thank you.
All right, yes.
So I have another question.
All right.
2 years ago, on my birthday, I went to Newgrange. Are you familiar with this place?
Where?
Newgrange in Ireland.
No, we are not.
Okay, this is a very old tomb. That's what it's called. I took a photo of the sky before I left, and when I looked at it at home, I saw something that looked like a UFO, like a ship, a very long, kind of almost transparent. Can you tell me anything about that?
Yes, there was some activity connected with this visit and some intelligence saying hi to you through this photo.
Fantastic. And do you know who they were?
It is one of the hybrid races.
So they kind of showed up for me because it was my birthday.
Yes.
Wow. That's great. Thank you so much.
Or thanks to you as well.
It doesn't appear like there are any more questions on the Zoom. Pleiadian
Jay,
Council.
I have a question.
There's one in the chat.
Oh,
And
that was
I actually do have a question if no one else. I know there's people in the room who haven't asked questions, so I was waiting for if anyone else wanted to ask a
Can we
question.
hit the one in the chat that's been there for a while?
that was me.
And
I
I'll
asked
do-
it.
You wanted to go ahead and ask it?
I already did.
Oh, the judging and sharing?
That's all right. We can continue with the next question then. Somebody wanted to ask.
Go ahead, Ray.
I don't have a question.
Oh, Wanda, do you want to read that one from the chat? I think it's from
Okay.
someone named Taylor.
It is from Taylor.
Yeah.
It said, with everything that's going on in the world right now, is there any value in judging and sharing judgments or biases on social media? It seems to be 90% of all content these days, and was wondering if there's any value in it.
Well, there's a difference between discernment and judgment. So some of what the questioner might interpret as judgment is discernment. And the difference is discernment says this is not for me, and judgment says this should not exist. So discernment also recognizes when there is harm taking place and when a system is causing harm. Discernment notes when certain behaviors lead to either help or harm and notices the consequences of actions. Now, discernment can look like judgment to someone who hasn't noted that critique isn't necessarily a weapon and is the part of how is essentially a part of how humans improve and do better when faced with adversities, disagreements, and conflict. Now, judgment shows up as moral condemnation, as only I have the right perspective. Judgment shows up as everyone else is wrong and all of these people are bad for being who they are. And so, indeed, you are correct that there is a lot of judgment out there, but there's also much that people misinterpret as judgment when it's actually discernment. So you have to really question what you are reading. Is it factual or is it an opinion? Is it opening Pandora's box and exposing the division that already exists between different perspectives? Or is it furthering the gap of division by reading as inflammatory, defamatory, and with a deep tone of condemnation? And that will help you see the difference. And yes, certainly, there are many who love judgment very much because it fuels their own identity construct or ego with a sense of great elation. When they can come together with a shared judgment, they feel as if they are on top of the world because they are right and they are amazing. And so there are many who don't know how to create a solid sense of self, hope, and meaning without joining others in a shared identity that pokes fun at a scapegoat to relieve the pressure of their own shadow. And that is essentially why people love judgment. It takes the pressure off themselves to make themselves a better person. Now, there was somebody else who wanted to ask another question, we're certain.
I did have a question, actually. Thank you again for this. So in your opening message about silence, I'm just very curious about the walk for peace that's happening in the United States right now. I'm just curious if that has had, if you're in your sense, has had impact, a positive impact on people in general, and what it's, if it's making any, if it's having an impact.
Yes, as a form of nonviolent protest and people coming together under a shared cause. It's giving meaning, hope, and agency to those participating, and it's demonstrating the need for change of a system and exposure of violence taking place in present day. So it's certainly a part of a movement towards healing and unity in your world.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that.
Yes. Any other questions?
I have another question. So I live in Ireland, and I was wondering if you know any places where I could feel a druidic energy.
The whole island, certainly, if you know how to tap into that energy, because that energy is within you. It's within your very bones and DNA. Even if you're not from Ireland, the magic among all peoples lives within all souls. So if you tap into magic within yourself, you feel it everywhere. But certainly, if you do a bit of research, you will find power places that were very important for both ancient and modern people working with the energies of the earth and working with this craft.
Okay.
But more importantly, listen to your body, because if you awaken the magic within it, you will be naturally drawn to some of the most powerful places. And in listening to the whispers of the wind and feeling the presence of the trees and the earth, you will be able to access this information and this energy.
Well, yeah, I kind of felt like when I was in Newgrange, that's what I felt there. I had a very emotional response when I arrived. I started crying for no reason.
Yes, that was a power spot, and that was a particular connection that you had with it, allowing you to feel the presence of the land and be moved by it.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much.
Yes, thanks to you as well. All right, then we will close this transmission for now. We will thank each and every one of you for coming together and co-creating. It has been a wondrous interaction for all of us, and we hope that you may continue to deepen into the power of presence, knowing silence allows you to find that integration, and knowing that your heart has many of the answers that you seek as you choose to act upon its wisdom and bring that love into the world. Great expansion continues to take place for all beings, and you are an active component in that process. Our great thanks and our deep and unconditional love to all of you, and we wish you a fantastic rest of your day then.
Thanks
Thank you.
very much.
Okay, beautiful. How was that, everybody?
Thank you, Dante.
Thank you,
Fantastic.
Dante.
Thanks.
Thank you.
you.
Your authenticity
Thanks.
shines through once again.
Oh, thank you. I don't even know what happens sometimes. It's just a flow.
Yeah, that's how it is.
Channeling is, it's working with what's going on in here, and it's our coming through the language of our own subconscious mind. And I think that doing deeper work allows for deeper channeling to happen.
I wish we recorded that first part. Do you record them at all?
Everything is on YouTube, like we've been live, yeah. So you can
Okay.
watch the replay back on YouTube.
Oh, excellent, excellent, excellent.
Yeah.
Cool. There was some good stuff there. Thank you.
Yeah, it was really great.
Always love when new people hop on. I'm not sure how you found out about it, but I'm glad the word's getting out.
I've seen you before.
Cool. YouTube? Or...
Oh no, high vibe, Ray and gang.
Oh yeah. So that's good to mention. Thank you. I'm so forgetful of all of the different things happening sometimes, but on Sunday I'm going to be on Ray's channel, High Vibe Channeling, and doing a transmission. And then I'm also going to be on a podcast on same time, maybe earlier on Sunday, and both of them will stay live on YouTube. Actually, Ray's isn't live on YouTube, and I think it's posted to YouTube later. But if you're not present, you can listen to the replay. And the podcast, I think, is going to be talking about channeling and doing a live channeling. on the Wiki and Flamia show. So there's more coming up, and I still have a vision of adding another sort of live stream that is different than this one on a weekly basis. So that's coming soon.
Excellent.
Yeah, and what else did I want to say? Yeah, if anybody likes to support these transmissions with a donation, it's optional, but it's really appreciated and covering all the costs that it takes and the time it takes to make this happen every week. And you can contact me or see the website for details on that. And you can also find the books in the YouTube live section if you scroll to the top. The latest Heartflow transmissions, which is the transcripts of the last 7 years of live stream and in-person sessions, and some early writing that's at the beginning of my awakening process, and I found to be in some ways prophetic and a great way to look back. That's called I Am Made of Chalk, and they're both available. And so much else is available if you want to dive deeper in applying channeling and astrology and the tools to bring some breakthroughs and transformation in your life. So check out the website, and yeah, anything else people want to share or feedback or exciting messages for us.
Wonderful summary, and the information on the Zoom link on Dante's Sunday presentation for us will be on the High Vibe Channeling Facebook page a little later today.
Cool.
And thank you so much for this. It's a highlight. I'm glad I made it back for part of it.
Excellent. Yeah. And I'll go to the YouTube community page, and either today or Saturday, I'm going to post where you can watch both of the upcoming podcasts on Sunday. Yeah.
And Dante.
Good to see you.
Aloha.
Aloha. Mahalo.
Mahalo to you too.
Thank you as well for answering my question, and apologies if it was a bit dark. It was just something that had come up and I was like, oh, I feel I have to ask it, but it was super helpful. Not that I was thinking about it myself or anything. I thought afterwards.
I love the discussion because it gets like kind of deep into some of the symbolism, right? And I love going there, but I was wondering like, oh, okay, like I wonder what everyone else is thinking about this too, but I'm glad that it came up. Did we like that discussion? Those
I always love, like, you know me, I have a lot of Scorpio energy in my chart and a Pisces moon. I love going deep, and I love those type of themes, definitely on me personally. I can say that for myself. So yes, I found everything really helpful and resonant to listen to.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, Pisces energy present, transcendence, full circle. And thanks for coming today, Molly. Great to connect again.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to make them as much as I can. I think it's so important, and I think you're such a good channel, and
Thank you.
I love supporting you when I can. So yeah.
Yeah, we appreciate having you here. I'll listen to your message soon.
Oh yeah, no rush. My rambling self.
Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone. So yeah, heartflowtransmissions.com. Hope to connect with you soon. And if you drop a share, like, comment, all the support for the video is always welcome. If you've made it to the end and haven't done that yet, we really appreciate it. And okay, so catch you next time, I guess, unless anybody else has a last word.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, I
Thank you, Jeff.
appreciate you
Thank
too.
you so much.
Thanks again.